W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Good afternoon and welcome on in. Rochester's only local sports talk show is on. You found the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us and listening along at 95.7 FM and AM 950 locally. The Fan Rochester and the free-to-download Odyssey app and our stream on the YouTube channel and Twitch at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Stay away from me. I'm just not good luck here today. In fact, I smell right now.
I was
that's
wondering what
that's
that...
me. I was caught in between. Do I go home and actually change, or do I come in? You're just gonna have to. It's not BO, folks. It's gasoline.
Oh,
I don't
stay
know.
away. I'm gonna come at you with a lit match,
right,
Gino. What are you talking about?
Yeah, don't light up anything here. What do I do? All over. You can't get it off. It's terrible.
What happened, Gene?
It's just a stupid. It's all happened to us, right? They were at the pump, and then all of a sudden,
gas just spills everywhere.
Yeah,
but it shot back, and you
it just spilled over to my hand and everything, and then it went down where my hand was. Some of it dripped on my pant leg. So
I honestly, if you didn't say anything, I wouldn't have known. I can't really smell it anymore. Maybe it's evaporated and you're just left with a little eau de Exxon, but I don't. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known. And it's a good thing I'm not a smoker, because I probably go for a break and just by happenstance light a match, and next thing you know, Gene's up in a mushroom cloud.
I don't know why I'm bringing this story up, but there was a documentary. Do you remember Enron?
Yeah, the energy company in Houston, right?
Right. That just they were crooks, right?
Yeah.
And with crooks, you have bad guys, right? And they're telling the story of one of these executives that's just kind of a bad dude who's married, but he would go and be doing his thing in order to get the scent off of him. He would make sure to stop every night at the gas station and accidentally spill some gas just to
so
override.
You don't smell the strip club. Instead, you smell the gas station when you get home.
And he would tell all of his employees, he was had people underneath him, this was a life hack. So that was
I had a boss who would drink so much that he was a belligerent, handsy drunk. He was just not a great drinker. And his life hack was, if you drink vodka, the troopers can't smell it on your breath. I'm like, great tip, boss. Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, great tip. I remember being in high school. You're right. Everybody's had a mishap at the gas pump, right? I know what you're talking about. I don't know that the last time that it's splashed back on me or gotten, because a lot of the pumps have the clip on it where you clip it and it just kind of stops automatically. Some of them have that, but not all of them have that. At least where I go, and you know where I go. I go to the spot where, and I've said this before, I hope you find in your life something that you love as much as the west side of Rochester loves saving 10 cents a gallon on gas, because BJ's over there in Greece is always backed up. Always. There's always a line. So what do I not go? Do I go somewhere? No, I'm in. I'm a sucker. I'm a sheep.
Yes, save your 10 cents.
I am in line saving my 10 cents. And some of the pumps there have the automatic shut off, and some of them don't. But I was going to say I might have you beat, because I remember when I was in high school and I just gotten my first car, and this is a lesson in focus and distraction. No matter what you're doing surrounding your vehicle, right? You're talking about being distracted and you spill gas all over yourself. Well, I was distracted and I drove off.
Oh.
Not realizing that I'd left the pump in the car.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm driving and I hear a click, 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 shoosh. And then there's a hose busted and gas everywhere. And just, and I'm 16, 17 years old. I don't know any better. I stop because I want to like help and just give them a heads up. Like, yeah, that's me. I don't know how I didn't have to pay anything extra or they didn't like stop.
Wow.
Like it was like, hey, and they're like, hey, well, accidents happen. Go on your way. I guess that's Minnesota friendly. I don't know. But I remember that vividly. And that's my biggest gas station mishap that I have on record. So you got off easy.
So I got off easy. And then my laptop is dead. I'm just bad karma here today. Maybe you'll conduct the Mike Leone interview without me today.
Mike Leone of the Rochester Americans joining us, head coach joining us here at 4:25 this afternoon. His team is in the midst of a bit of a layoff here as they wait for their next opponent, and the AHL Division Finals series get underway here in, what are we saying now, 8 days?
Do I have
do
I have permission to bust his chops? Because he was coming in studio, and then you get busy and have games on Wednesday and get into the season. We've been doing this by phone. Like, no, it's not like you have a game this weekend. What are you doing? Okay, practice again today, boys. Here we go.
Is he coming in? He's not coming in.
No, he's not
we'll
coming in.
We'll get him over the phone. It'll be good. Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, as he does every week, right around 4:25, stopping by the sports bar. We'll talk about that series against Syracuse where they were able to make quick work of the crunch. Also joining us this afternoon in the sports bar, our Tuesdays are great when Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard stops by to talk some Buffalo Bills. Hey, look, I mean, the NFL right now is a bit of a barren wasteland as far as like storylines are concerned. There's not a lot going on. We heard Justin Tucker getting released by the Ravens yesterday. That'll be a post-June 1st cut, it looks like. The Bills making it official with Elijah Moore. And really, after the draft, GM's making the rounds, kind of talking about what's going on, a restructure here, another free agent signing there. We're just kind of looking forward to not just rookie minicamp, but minicamp in general.
Yeah, I think there one storyline from last week and then one that's coming up at the end of the week. The one from last week we certainly will touch on for Matt. Elijah Moore, is this – like last year we had just a lot of dudes come in, or a lot of guys, if you will. Chase Claypool, Quentin Cephas, people that you know, if nothing else, from fantasy football. Oh, and here comes Elijah Moore. So what kind of bucket does Elijah Moore fall into? It's not a contract where you say, oh, this guy's on the roster. That's my opinion, but we'll ask Matt Perino, all right, where does he fit here? Because last year who's taking that Mac Hollins sort of I'm the blocking tight end, I'm the special teamer? I don't know if that's Moore. I certainly don't think that's Josh Palmer. The storyline coming up at the end of the week, rookie minicamp beginning for the Buffalo Bills. So you'll have some guys there getting their first. We'll have some semblance of football at the end of the week. Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard, bottom of this hour.
We're better when you're a part of the show. Join us anytime. Pull up a stool in the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Fun night in sports last night, whether that was you were watching the Leafs, and, hey, I'm not pulling for the Leafs, but if I see Tanev getting 2 points, goal and assist, all right, that's an RIT guy doing that. To me, though, it was the NBA. Can we just go down to 8 teams in the NBA because the play-in rounds are garbage, the first round matchups boring, and last night, oh my gosh, tell me you weren't entertained, but I look at what, and I'm a Knicks fan. It was more the Celtics throwing that one away. I'm sorry.
Drive the lane. Go to the hoop.
Get fouled.
Go to the hoop.
Yeah.
I mean, just hucking up threes like it's nobody's business, and they're not hitting. And this is kind of what we were talking about with the Celtics team, before the postseason started. Like, there's some nights where they look absolutely unstoppable, the best team in the world, and they look like the champions that they are. And then there are nights like last night, it's like, what are you guys doing? Did you guys decide you want to take some time off? You're not gonna give the effort that you need to win a championship, and maybe they're good enough to overcome those kind of games. But yeah, the Knicks stole one. I mean, to be down 20, to come back, force overtime is like, no, the Knicks aren't losing that game. You're not That's a team that has heart. That's a team that's a lot of fun. And I know that the Celtics are probably, more talented. They are more talented. That was weak. That was weak sauce. And the other game with with the Nuggets getting a 1-0 series in, and we talked about this yesterday too, like if Jokic takes it personally and the Nuggets beat the Oklahoma City, like why isn't Jokic the MVP? He's not. It'll be SGA, but like should it be? Because Jokic and that team, their season, they know what it takes to win a title, and they're gonna deal out some experience to Oklahoma City here this series.
Do you remember like when Jokic got his first MVP, and people were like, "Well, you just got tired with Embiid," blah blah blah. Like, no, actually, Jokic was really good, and he still is really good. It's just that we always kind of go to the shiny new object, that being SGA. And look, he was good. I'm not saying that SGA didn't deserve the MVP. Let me clarify. He hasn't been awarded the MVP yet. He soon will. We figure he's going to get it. But the point being here that I think we overlook just how great Jokic is. If it wasn't for SGA, Jokic would have become only the third guy to win 4 MVPs in a 5-year span. Jordan never did that. It's LeBron and Bill Russell. That's it. So the idea that here's somebody that if he gets 2 championships, 2 rings in 3 years in Denver, I mean, like that, how can you not pull for that guy?
Yeah. No question. Both of those game ones were immensely entertaining. I watched Toronto and Florida last night, and I would love to tell you that I was highly entertained, but I was in such a foul mood watching that game. Ask me why.
Oh, I know why. And here was just my perspective, because thankfully, and I do a talk show here, right, with you every day. I got home, I forgot about this.
Oh.
This was like, like your brain kind of weeds out, okay, this is important, this isn't important. Once upon a time, like, hey, a lot of hope for the Sabres, like draft lottery. I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, I missed it. And the reaction was, what is this? I'm so confused. I hate this. I'm like, oh no, what did the NHL do here?
So I got home last night, quick meal, and after dinner's done, I look over, my little one's watching the Met Gala. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really gonna watch that. Good news, 7:00, the NHL draft lottery is happening. I should probably watch that. So I do, and just in case you didn't know or don't know, they changed it. This is the first year that they changed it, right?
Right. This is supposedly this is what really happens, where before they were just revealing the cards and telling you.
Right. So this is each non-playoff team is assigned a set of 4 number combinations out of a possible 1,001 based on their regular season standings. That in and of itself is more confusing than just 14 ping pong balls for the team with the best odds, 13 for the team with the second best chance, et cetera, et cetera. Did we want to skimp out on the bingo hopper? Is that what's going on here with the NHL? Did we too many bingo balls to sort through? What?
So basically, what you're saying is, okay, today's daily 4 will be Yolanda Vega. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the Islanders code. Is that basically how? But how would you know what code is what?
That's right. Each team gets a set of 4 number combinations that are out of a possible 1,001 based on their regular season standings. The team with the worst record receives the most combinations, which gives them the best chance at the top pick. So San Jose had 185 combinations that could have been pulled from those 14 lottery balls, giving them an 18.5% chance to win the first overall pick. If you're not confused yet, let me tell you, there's not just one draw, Gino. There are 2 draws to determine the top picks, because the lottery is done now in 2 phases, where the first draw determines the first overall pick, the second draw determines the second overall pick, and in each phase you have the 14 balls, numbered 1 to 14, placed into the hopper. 4 of those 14 numbers are drawn to create that 4-digit combination. The combination is matched against the lookup table to identify the team that was assigned that sequence. Are you confused yet? Are you glazing over the rules of this lottery yet?
Could it just be as simple as, is there a hopper big enough and that they could actually do this right with what you need 1,000 ping pong balls?
I don't know that you need 1,000 ping pong balls. If you did the math and you said team 1 gets 14, team 2 gets 13, team 3 gets 12, and move it on down.
Does that add up to 100 though percent? I don't know if that does.
I'm just saying that for the odds of playing this.
Maybe.
Okay. If you're not confused yet, don't worry.
All right.
There's more.
Oh.
Because there are limitations on how far a team can move up. You can only move up a maximum of 10 spots. So only the 11 teams with the worst records are eligible for the first overall pick, which would eliminate my idea of giving them all a chance of winning by, lessening the amount. If a team outside the top 11 wins the draw, they can only move up 10 spots. The team with the worst record would still retain the top pick. Gino, they're trying to explain this last night. And God bless Buccigross. I know, he's a hockey guy. He lost me. He completely lost me.
So what do they do when, okay, here's the code, and then they look in their little book and then basically, it's the Islanders, everyone.
Yeah, right.
How do we trust that?
So you get the top 2 picks are determined. Then the 14 remaining teams are slotted in reverse order of the regular season points that are adjusted for any teams that moved up due to the draft lottery. And with a 3.5% chance of winning the top overall pick last night, yes, the New York Islanders got it. This is their first number 1 pick since they took Tavares back in 2009. So the Islanders will be picking first in the NHL draft, but the process to get there, Gino, this sucks. This is terrible by the NHL. This is an unwatchable. I would be excited. I want to see the ping pong balls in the lottery. I had no idea what was going on.
So
none.
How can you verify that you're just trusting Bill Daly when he gets out his handbook and says, "Oh, the code belongs to the Islanders"? How do you know? Because you told me about this yesterday, and this is the NHL kind of burying a story. They ripped the All-Star game from the Islanders in 2026.
Oh, yeah. By the
yeah.
way, I'm not saying that there's any conspiracy going on there. But they may. Hey, guys, here you go. Have the first overall pick.
So the story is we got done, right, with the, the Four Nations. We're like, wow, that was a lot of fun, right? And they made money, right, playing in Montreal and Boston. I'm sure, like, networks and streaming services all want to do something like that in the future. Let's see. What's coming up on the books? Okay, the Olympics. That's going to be next winter. Fantastic. What about the following year? Okay, All-Star Weekend. And they ripped that, and they're coming up with some new international event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet the Islanders actually get the first pick.
Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But because it's so confusing, I can't rule it out. I have no idea. Like, they got through the first 2 balls, and then they say, here are the balls that are needed for each team to move. And, like, I'm watching, and I'm like, I just want to see if the Hawks have a chance at getting the number 1 overall pick, or if the Sabres can move up from where they're slotted at 7. No idea. No idea the voodoo and witchcraft that went into determining this draft lottery. And I just explained it. I just read it and explained it to all y'all, and I still have no idea how this thing works.
There is not a lot of passion for the Islanders. Name me a more invisible franchise in the 4 major sports than the Islanders. They play in the biggest market. The biggest market loves the Rangers, and then you have the Devils. It's a small pocket out on Long Island, and they won a lot of championships decades ago. And they don't even they don't have their own TV deal. We shouldn't talk. They don't even have their games on the radio, Danger. Right. Like, it's like a streaming thing they have. Like, I mean, who cares about the Islanders? Who cares about this
Long
franchise?
Islanders care about the Islanders. I think that's the extent of it, right? If you're on the island, you care. I have friends that are passionate about that team, but they live on Long Island. They'll go because they're on Long Island. They have a lot of pride in the Islanders. And I'll remember being a kid growing up with them winning the 3 straight championships, loving the Islanders loving that team. Was it four straight?
Yeah, four.
4 straight?
4 straight cups, yeah.
See, that would have been what? Was it 78 to 82?
Yes, and then they got back year 5, and Gretzky got him for the first of his.
God. So yeah, I mean, we're talking ages 3 to 7 during those years.
Oh, that was like the first time I saw hockey on TV. Islanders and Flyers final. I'm like, what is this? This sport is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the Islanders because they were winning. And I just remember being a little kid in Minnesota loving that team because they were just, I remember Mike Bossy just winning games all the time. And since then, yeah, you're right. Like, what do the Islanders mean to anybody outside of Long Island? Well, they'll have the number 1 overall pick. Somehow, through the magic of the NHL draft lottery, they were able to turn a 3.5% chance of winning into first overall pick.
The fact that the local angle we haven't brought up yet to this kind of illustrates the point. The Sabres are picking 9th. They didn't win.
No, they got penalized. They went from 7 to 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
9
it
times.
matters. And I respect the hell out of Paul Hamilton, who joined us yesterday, and he's advocating. Which, hey, look, if you can do it, great. Trade the 9th pick, but I don't think that's the way it works, right? Like, great, another prospect, fantastic.
Who needs a prospect? Because
Yeah.
we'll get you a prospect. If you need a prospect, we got him for you here in Buffalo. But we'll see how that all plays out. I then tried my best to enjoy the Leafs and the Panthers, and I felt pretty good about my Leafs prediction through 2/3 of the game, and then you see Florida kind of come back, and you see injuries, and okay, all right, let's hold on a little bit here. But a couple of series getting underway tonight as well in the Stanley Cup Final. More NBA action. We'll talk about all of it here through the course of the afternoon. Next, we will shift gears and talk to Matt Perino. Some Buffalo Bills talk on the way. Matt Perino, Syracuse.com, our guest next in the Sports Bar.
Sports Update.
Now, coming up for the Buffalo Bills rookie camp beginning this weekend, not a rookie, though, working in the building is Josh Palmer. Palmer talking about what he's working on.
Just getting bigger, faster, stronger. The details, because it's a new playbook for me.
Right, yeah.
Just getting the details of learning the language. So it's just figuring out, okay, what do we call this play and what do we call this route and what's your alignment on this play. So I think those are the biggest things that I want to get out of this offseason program.
Palmer today on One Bills Live. We'll talk to Matt Perino at Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast, who joins us next year in the Sports Bar. We could know the Amherst opponent tonight. Game 4 of the best of 5 between Cleveland and Laval. Laval up 2-1. Amherst head coach Mike Leone joins us in the 4 o'clock hour. Yankees tonight hosting the Padres, the Mets out in Arizona. The Wings begin a series at Scranton. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills rookie minicamp getting underway this weekend, and a new wide receiver in the mix for the Buffalo Bills. We welcome in Matt Perino covering the team at Syracuse.com, the Syracuse Post-Standard. We were talking last week, Matt, about the Bills' inability to secure a wide receiver and Brandon Beane's reaction to that. And then in the coming days, the signing of Elijah Moore, which we knew was going to happen but became officially official yesterday. So let's start there and talk about where we see Moore fitting in what looks like a pretty crowded Bills wide receiver room right now.
You know, I think at the beginning here, you probably put him in that Marquez Valdez-Scantling bucket, where the Bills are taking a stab on a guy that has been around the league. Obviously, MVS had a little bit more success. I mean, he played in big-time playoff games before he got here. Moore is a guy that is just packed with potential. Go back to the draft year. He goes in the second round of the Jets, and I think what set him up for absolute, I don't want to say failure, but inability to reach what I think people thought he could be in the league was just the circumstances, right? Playing with bad quarterbacks, the dysfunction in New York around the Zach Wilson. I mean, Mike White, remember, he was starting games for them back in Moore's rookie season. And I just don't know if it was ever the right spot for him. And even in Cleveland, where he got more of a role, the numbers went up quite a bit. It was like a merry-go-round of quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks that were on the field, for the most part, weren't very good. So I think, what you're banking on with him is, you know what, I'd put him somewhere between what MVS was last offseason and kind of what Curtis Samuel was, where he's somebody that the Bills tabbed as somebody that can help them. I think the Bills were in on this conversation at least a little bit before the draft, and it was well, you don't want to give this guy a contract, and then you go out and you spend a draft pick on a guy, and now you have to kind of rethink things a little bit. So I think that they let the offseason play out. Moore was obviously willing to kind of hang out because of the opportunity to kind of align himself with Josh Allen.
Matt, what do we know about his ending in New York? Because to me, that doesn't seem very process-like. But again, I'm just reading and hearing stuff, and maybe he gets a second chance. But if you misstep when you're young, sometimes that stuff is going to follow you. And the story, as I understand it, they win a game, and he's complaining about targets, and then somehow he gets traded to Cleveland shortly thereafter. To what level is that a concern? When it comes to the character of Elijah Moore?
I think it's a 0% concern. I mean, this is a guy that's been given a one-year deal. We don't have the numbers on the contract yet, but I can't imagine the guaranteed money is very high. I think that I saw a report of the max value is $5 million. I'd imagine that comes in well under that. And I think it's another flyer. They gave MVS guaranteed money last year, and then they ate it. And I think that that's the thing that they're willing to do at this position, fit in or we'll send you out. And I don't think that – I also don't want to overreact to that situation in New York. It was as bad as it can be. I mean, we remember every week Robert Saleh and them were in the news, and then the Hard Knocks, and that was a little bit before Aaron Rodgers. But the Zach Wilson pick was looking just horrible, and just there was dysfunction in the organization. And I think when that happens for a young player, some of those kinds of outbursts and antics end up happening. I think to be able to give him this opportunity, first of all, they probably did their due diligence, their pro staff, on what he was like in Cleveland. It seems like from everybody I've talked to, it was a productive tenure there, and he had success. I mean, the touchdown numbers weren't there, but I mean, he was playing with a terrible quarterback play. So I think it's worth a shot. You throw a guy in the mix, and if you want to take, I get being upset about the Bills maybe not addressing wide receiver at one of those picks when maybe there was a guy that you saw in the draft that you liked. We talked a lot about Royals. There's a bunch of guys at different points in the draft, but how much is that player going to be in a position to impact 2025 versus a guy like Moore who's got production in the NFL, albeit a limited amount, and has that 4.32 speed from his pro day that I think you're willing to tap into those kind of traits and kind of throw things at the wall and see what works.
Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard talks the Buffalo Bills with us here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. Matt, now with the draft in the rearview mirror and rookie minicamp getting underway this weekend, when you look at this roster, this depth chart, we know that there's going to be a lot of competition come St. John Fisher, but is there a position group that you feel might be an Achilles heel to the Buffalo Bills heading into the preseason?
I don't think there's anything that's an Achilles heel. I'm very interested to see up front with, not so much during training camp because we'll see Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt out there all the way up until the start of the season. What I think I'm more interested in is like, who are the players that are going to step up to fill those voids? I mean, they obviously had plans for both of those players when they targeted them in free agency. And you're talking about the guy behind Ed Oliver. Is TJ Sanders going to be ready for that right from the jump? Where's Dwayne Carter fit into all of this? Is he getting moved over to one technique? Is he going to play behind Daquan Jones? Because, Deion Walker, there's a lot of excitement about him, but Brandon Beane basically said, don't be surprised if he is not very active throughout the entire spring and they kind of slow roll him coming off that back injury. Who knows? Maybe he starts the season on PUP. We don't know where that will kind of materialize and end up. So it's going to be about these young players that they've invested in, Landon Jackson, Javon Solomon, the second-year edge rusher. How ready are those guys for big-time roles out of the gates? You're going to have Joey Bosa. You're going to have Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver. But I also think you don't want to overuse Joey Bosa. He's got to be on a pitch count. You've got to have him healthy in December, January, and February, and the best way to do that is to not overload him early in the season. So that's going to put more on the plate of maybe a Landon Jackson or Javon Solomon to kind of fill into that DE 3 or 4 role behind A.J. Epinesa and Greg Rousseau.
I'm going to tell you the position group that I'm just very interested in just seeing how it all shakes out. That's the corner position where you have high hopes, right? You're turning, and I'll give Brandon Beane credit. Hey, we need kind of an infusion here. And yes, you brought back Tre'Davious White. Yes, you brought back Dane Jackson. But Matt, the question here is, what are the odds you think that actually we might have all 3 draft picks, being Hairston, Hancock, and Strong, actually making the final 53?
I think there's a real good chance of that. And I think the part of it is Hancock falls into a different bucket. He's not in that corner bucket now. He's in that kind of hybrid safety slot corner, kind of a la Cam Lewis or maybe even a Jamarcus Ingram. And those are guys that have been in their system and they really like, and they have a floor that the Bills are very happy about. But if they can draft somebody that they've really found in the draft that they think is ready for a role early on and then proves it in the summer, that knocks probably one of those guys out of the mix a little bit. And the interesting thing about Lewis and Ingram, too, is they play some meaningful snaps. And I think people around the league know who those guys are. But we've seen it in the past where we've been surprised at players that the Bills might value, and you'd think that there'd be a market for them outside, but they move on from them or cut them and then bring them back to the practice squad after no team signs them. So there's a bunch of different paths that they can take. I mean, Tre'Davious White, all signs point to him, at least being healthy enough to compete for maybe CB2 or that first depth option, but maybe he's not at a point where you feel comfortable with that, and maybe instead of that, this stage of his career is more about slotting into a Micah Hyde type role. There's a range of outcomes with Tre'Davious White that I think you're really excited about if you're the Bills, getting him on a 1-year deal. Now, they signed him. I think there's a little bit more money there. I think that they believe he can be if not the starter opposite Benford, somebody that they can rely upon as a depth piece. So I'm not putting him in that. But it all comes down to how you perform when the games start. And, they might have to pivot off some things very early in the season. Maybe Hairston earns the job and it goes poorly in the first couple of weeks, or vice versa. Trey White wins the job and he's looking like he's struggling a bit, and they have to pivot, and that opens up the opportunity. You remember Josh Allen all those years ago. They didn't bring in any veteran quarterbacks that they felt could really beat him out. They had to go with Peterman in that opener, and they had to pivot really quickly because it was that bad. Yeah. So there's a lot of different outcomes at cornerback, but what I think they've done, as they've done on defensive line, is give themselves plenty of options, which you need when you're trying to kind of remake things on that side of the ball.
We're just over a week away from the schedule release, Matt, and as the NFL tends to do, we'll get little morsels leading up to the 14th, and I'm curious as to whether or not you're hearing anything, or do we know anything? I think there's still an international game, and who's going to play the Steelers in Ireland. I certainly have a feeling that the Bills will be tapped on the shoulder when it comes to a holiday game, whether that be Thanksgiving or Christmas. What do you know? What are you anticipating here with the schedule release looming?
Yeah, so I don't have anything behind the scenes that I know about. I'm very interested to see about like Christmas night and maybe a home Bills playoff game. Like that feels like a spot where prime time, the league has really settled on Christmas Day, almost like stealing it from the NBA. And what more of a marquee way to close it down on Christmas night than to do it in Orchard Park late December, one of the last home regular season games at Highmark Stadium. I think that could be a really interesting spot for the Bills on prime time. International, I don't know. I mean, the Ireland thing, Aaron Rodgers, that whole scenario is still kind of sitting out there. I don't know how much the league knows or how much they're at this point thinking that is going to impact their decision on where that Steelers game goes. But either way, I think the Bills are going to play a bunch of primetime games, and I can't wait till the schedule release. That's a fun day.
Yeah, I saw the Warren Sharp note that, okay, the Bills have one of the easiest schedules by his metric, and I guess, sure, you're right. You're in the AFC. You're in the AFC East, and you're going by that. But I guess the question is, Matt, because some people say it doesn't matter when you play them. To me, particularly with these suspensions, how much does it matter? Or maybe it doesn't, in your opinion, who you play when? Because if the Bills play a bunch of teams that can run the ball, I might be a little concerned if that happens right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters when you play certain teams, like if you could have it work out perfectly. But I also think that you don't really know that in May. Like, that's not something – we go into every season talking about, like, strength of schedule and what we expect for teams, and everybody thought that the Jets were a Super Bowl contender and the Miami Dolphins were a Super Bowl contender and the Bills weren't going to win the AFC East, and you get to the end of the season and you're 5 weeks to go and they've already wrapped up the division. So I think to sit here and act like we know what all of these teams are going to be after all of the changes that a lot of them have made, and some teams have new quarterbacks. I mean, to try to figure out what the Jets are going to be with Justin Fields is challenging. Drake May was great in year one in a limited sample size. A lot of times quarterbacks take a step back in year two. I mean, look no further than C.J. Stroud and what they did there. I think that the Patriots have done a better job building up front, and I think the Jets have finally gotten on board with that approach and starting to build in front of their quarterback. But again, you can't sit here and say that those moves are, worked until you see them work.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, our guest here covering the Buffalo Bills, talking Bills now in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Fan. What about it being the final year at Highmark Stadium there, Matt? And we know that the season usually ends with a divisional game, and I would imagine that will be one of the last regular season games at least. Is there anything to that? Is there a novelty? Is there a motivation for like, they didn't lose at home last year, and I struggle to believe that they're going to lose again this year, being the final year at Highmark Stadium.
Right. My personal preference, if you look at the entirety of the franchise at that stadium, like, I think you can make an argument the two biggest rivals, especially in division, are the Dolphins and the Patriots. I think either of those makes sense. And I know, like, the Patriots have been like a more recent rival. Like, if you think back to, and I know there's an argument to be had if there was even a rivalry during the Brady era, but they were hated, right? Like that was the one team that when they came to town, even when the Bills weren't having good seasons, like it would make a season if you beat that team. So I think like putting the Patriots in that spot, especially considering they have a young quarterback that they're really excited about, that could be really good. I'm very low on the Dolphins, guys. Like I think they're finishing fourth in the division. I don't think they've done nearly enough, if anything, to put more in front of Tua, who has no mobility, that is I thought the Kenneth Grant pick was organizational malpractice. And I'm saying that knowing I'm on a show with the card-carrying president of the Kenneth Grant fan club.
Yeah.
But I love the player. I think he's going to be a great pro. But what good is that player on the defensive side of the ball when your quarterback's getting killed on the other side of the ball?
He's an absolute boss, by the way.
Maybe they'll play him in offensive line too.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll Travis Hunter him because they got to figure out something and get better on their offensive line.
Last one for me, Matt, and it's a story that already came up. I'm not asking about the Baltimore Ravens. This is how we came on this conversation yesterday. Like, Justin Tucker gets released, and like, okay, you can make an argument that was a football move. You drafted somebody new, and then when we pulled up the stats, it's like, okay, there's Justin Tucker in terms of conversion percentage at 32. That's not ideal. But then I look at other kickers, I'm like, oh, that's right. Tyler Bass, 26th he ranked. And again, there's different reasons. You're kicking outdoors, all that sort of stuff. I guess my question is, like, are they bringing in competition for Tyler Bass, or are we comfortable with the way that his season turned around there after that big kick against the Dolphins in mid-year?
I'm not against bringing in competition for Tyler Bass at all. I just don't think that Justin Tucker is that. I mean, not even mentioning the off-the-field stuff that is going to get played out here over the next few months, and not wanting to get into any kind of situation with that. I just don't think he's been very good the last couple of years. And I don't know if the deterioration of his numbers and the lack of clutch moments from him, I mean, going into that playoff game, if you remember, one of the storylines we talked about was, who do you trust more in this game, the struggling Justin Tucker or Tyler Bass, who's had his kind of bad moments? And I think that for all the flack that Tyler Bass has received, and a lot of it rightfully so for some of his struggles, I thought he finished the season really strong, especially in the playoffs. I think he made, 11 of his last 11 kicks, including the playoffs, and I think you take that, and that's a building point. If they do bring in a kicker to work out, I think that might be a Chris Tabor kind of decision. Like, he hasn't been a Tyler Bass guy. So I think maybe if he brings somebody in, that tells you something to kind of take a look at it. But I could still see Tyler Bass winning that thing. And speaking of special teams, I was listening to One Bills Live yesterday, and Laviska Shenault was on there. Yeah. And I never put these two together, but the fact that he played for him in Carolina, I think Chenault's like, a real strong roster candidate at 53. And that's going to make it interesting. We go back to the top. We were talking about Moore. How many receivers do the Bills keep on their 53? They're going to keep a lot of defensive linemen, right? They're going to keep, even if the Hoyt Ogunjobi thing wasn't a factor, they were still going to probably go 10, 11. There's been years they've kept 11 defensive linemen. If they keep 5, and Shenault is one of them, who's the odd man out? It's going to be really interesting with wide receiver when we get to August.
Speaking of interesting, and you brought it up, his last appearance maybe in the NFL was that playoff game. Do you think we've seen the last of Justin Tucker?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know if this was truly a football decision. Let's take all that other stuff out of it. And the Ravens drafted a kicker. There was none of this massage stuff. It was just like there was a football move, and they moved on. I still think that would he have gotten an invite to a camp somewhere? Sure, probably. But I also think, like, if you're Justin Tucker, what's getting you to the negotiating table, being a guy that's kicked in this league all these years? And if you're a team, do you want to invest in like real money into a kicker that's kind of seems to be deteriorating, or do you want to go just try to find a couple of answers? I mean, McManus is a guy that Green Bay brought in halfway through the season last year, and I thought he finished strong. And give him a couple-year deal. There's always those kinds of guys out there. It's not always the perfect fit. I mean, there's probably a lot of how many kickers got drafted? Like, I don't even know if a single kicker got drafted in this year's class. I'd have to go back and look at the 6th and 7th round picks. I know, or besides the Baltimore Ravens kid. So, I mean, there's probably 3 or 4 of the best college kickers after that guy that are still probably available. That might be more appetizing than Tucker.
So, Matt, I'm going to tell Danger a quick story as we wrap up. And I never told you this. I've only done one shift on a commercial radio station as a DJ. It was on CMF. I don't remember the exact year, but it was on Christmas Eve, like 10 o'clock at night going in. This is way before the time when you had people around the clock there. I'm just saying, Matt, though, like I've done this before. Like I've worked holidays in case the Bills are right there on Christmas night. You want to be home with your family. I'm ready to step in for you on the Shout Podcast.
Wow. I mean, you are just what a guy. Like to be willing to put yourself out there on a night that you were going to be at the stadium anyway. I really appreciate that, buddy.
The guy is not going to say no to work. I mean, like he's just a mule. He just wants to work.
I can't take a hint from Matt either.
Just insufferable. Matt, what are you and Ryan working at Shout this week that we can check out?
Had a great long chat with Tim Graham from The Athletic last night. A couple of different things. We hit on some big picture Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott talk, kind of like the pendulum swing in terms of their approval ratings over the last 6 to 12 months. I think it's been really interesting. It was a good conversation. Talked about like anonymous sources and the whole Shedeur Sanders coverage. And then we gave a nice send-off to Mark Gaughan from the Buffalo News, who played a huge role in my career, has for a countless number of local and other reporters over the years. He's retiring after 43 years. He's been amazing. So we talked about him for a bit, too. It's a good episode. Ryan and I will be back tomorrow with our Staple Show.
Matt, you're the best. Really appreciate the time, buddy. Have a good week.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard Shout podcast. Check it out.
I'm stuck on you on CMF.
Right.
96.5 WCMF. Gene Battaglia. Merry Christmas.
Funny thing was, like, we weren't allowed to take requests. Like, you had to follow. Like, I know it's shocking, right? And
222-6000. You can call, but I ain't gonna play anything for you. Merry Christmas, Gene Battaglia on CMF.
I'm talking at 2 a.m. on Christmas morning, thinking there's not a soul. Tell me, what you want to hear, and then all of a sudden the phones light up. I'm like, oh my gosh, who are these people?
There's always someone listening.
Who are these people?
There's always someone
listening.
I
gotta follow up on this, and I'm breaking the. I'm like, what? I don't know if that's why I wasn't asked back.
Hang on, I've got to take a call. The hotline is ringing. Stan Main is on the phone. He's gonna wring my neck for taking requests. Christmas night here on 96.5 WCMF. You have to have like the gravelly, deep.
CMF.
Gravelly, deep, ballsy, I just smoked a pack of Marlboro Reds before my 4-hour shift. I'm ready to go. Gene Battaglia.
Pearl Jam coming up a little bit. We'll also get the lead out here.
Merry Christmas. Get ready for some mandatory Metallica. CMF. Gene Battaglia. Merry Christmas. Tape has to exist.
I don't think so.
Come on.
No, there is no tape.
Come on. Really?
No tape, no.
Oh. I mean,
that was like the first year I was dating the executive producer. She was like, "What are you doing? Like, why? You're gonna sleep all day Christmas Day? Stop with that."
Yeah, well, she's asking the same question. You just offered yourself up to Matt Perino on Christmas Day.
I think Matt understood. Like, you're gonna be there anyways. It's not, what are you doing?
She's probably like, "Oh, really? You got to spend more time at the stadium on Christmas if they're playing there instead of time with the family? Really?"
We'd be surprised if the Bills aren't on Christmas by this point, right?
I think. All right, so can we make a couple of Bills schedule predictions?
Yes, by all means.
I say they're the team that's playing Pittsburgh in Ireland. I think that feels like a lot of fun.
I'm going to say no, because usually it's the team that has the Bills would be taken. Then they would have only 7 true road games. Because you would consider that neutral site, would you not? Like going over to Ireland?
How many Roonies are in attendance? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's, terrible towels, everybody going over.
They do travel well, I hear.
That I hear too. But like the idea that, all right, Green Bay was a team rumor, but do you really, if it ends up being Aaron Rodgers, that's Sunday Night Football. Like, if Aaron Rodgers has to go against the Packers,
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that because Rodgers isn't going to play next year.
You can just prepay right now, buddy. Here's the deal. I'm going to make you an offer.
Oh, boy, here we
Listen,
go.
if you prepay now, said box of wine stays in the studio. And you and I can just reach for it whenever you want.
I know
If you do not, it vanishes and it goes to Casa Battaglia.
I know your snooty ass is going to think less of me for saying this, but I don't look forward to a glass of wine unless I'm having it with dinner, and that's it. Like, I'm not a casual wine drinker. If it's with dinner, I will have it. If it's outside of that, I will not.
You put anything in front of you, anything that. Oh, okay.
But that's like the thing that if you put a glass of wine in front of me right now, why is my question? Like, why? Is a meal following this? Is there an appetizer coming my way?
No, it's Danger.
I only drink wine with food
in the afternoon, particularly when the weather is warmer and you're going to be on your beautiful new patio whenever that's done.
You drink wine to get altered. I don't drink wine to get altered. I drink other things and do other things to get altered. You're drinking exclusively wine to get altered.
No, I enjoy the taste and the conversation and whoever's with us there.
Well, I'm not going to pay in advance because I'm winning this bet like I've won many bets. And the executive producer is going to look at you and say, not only did you lose another bet to Danger, but you're offering up your services on a holiday when we could all be together as a family to work extra with Matt Perino. You're going to be in trouble, pal. And if you need, I have a couch.
Matt gives us time every week here on the show.
He's the best.
I feel I have to return, but he's not. By the way, Brasky invited me on, but then was like, yeah, maybe camp. Yeah. It's our life here on the Sports Bar.
Amerks head coach Mike Leone stops by the Sports Bar next hour. We've got more on the way. If I'm a little bit edgy, it's because I stayed up late watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. But what made me upset was what happened before with the NHL draft lottery. I'm not even talking about the results. I'm talking about the process. We'll get into that.
Oh, there is a headline story in the NFL today. Something came out. I'm like, really? I thought this was already out. Nope. I'll tell you what's
okay. We got that and more on the way. Your calls are always welcome at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills rookie camp begins this weekend. Not a rookie. Josh Palmer, the wide receiver in town, working out. And talking today with Brownie and Tasker, Palmer not worried about targets.
I run every route to win, so if it doesn't come to me, great. If it comes to me, even better, because I know I'm running my route to get somebody else open. So now I'm here just ready to explode and show to myself that I've been working towards this position, and being in this position, how more of a refined receiver I am.
Hockey tonight in suburban Montreal. Game 4, the best of 5 between Cleveland and Laval. If the Laval Rocket win, the next opponent will be the Amerks. Amerks head coach Mike Leone will join us later this hour. The Yankees host the Padres tonight. Pitcher Carlos Carrasco today designated for assignment. Mets are out in Arizona. The Wings are in Scranton. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Phase 2 of the offseason program continues. They were outside today.
The culture here is great, but no, I feel like I'm fitting in and I'm finding my lane. And
Mike Danger.
I don't like to talk about myself. Will you allow me just this one time?
Gene Battaglia.
We are so provincial. We are so provincial.
And the New York Knicks stun the Celtics. Left side Gordon for the win. Yeah! And the Denver Nuggets shock the Oklahoma City Thunder in game number 1.
Pacers, Cavs tonight.
The Wolves
Against the Warriors team.
They score! Willie Nylander!
Draft lottery came out. Islanders get the top overall pick.
And Buffalo fell 2 spots. They were picked 9th overall.
Amerks hockey.
Playoffs? We keep on waiting.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Look, I love the NHL. Love hockey. I should say I love hockey. The NHL, I do have beef with. I mean, this draft lottery, this new system that they rolled out yesterday, feels impossible. And maybe I'm an idiot. Okay, I am an idiot. I'll admit it. It shouldn't be this hard to determine who gets the number 1 overall pick that will likely disappoint you for years to come.
I'll just take it a step further. I forgot about the draft. So it's like, to me, I'm cognizant that, hey, it takes these kids so long to develop. If you're hoping that, hey, the Islanders are going to turn it around, I'm just I've fallen into this trap. Or maybe that's just become what is life is like as a Sabre fan. Great, they're picking 9th. Yeah.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, 9 times. 9 times. Yeah.
9 times.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, great. We had the seventh overall pick going in, and we fell 2 spots. Wonderful.
Tell you something, Danger. Like, when they have the NHL draft, brought a smile on my face because the next day I leave for the Cape. So I won't be here to break down, man, I can't believe. What year was it? Oh, Jack Quinn is the selection. Everybody got mad. I'm like, how do you know? You don't even know.
Nobody knows. I mean, and how they got to that point based on what we saw yesterday. I'm not going to break it down because I worry that you'll do what I did, which is glaze over. Buccigross is trying to explain this new draft order process, and I'm like, guys, I'm lost. I don't know what we're doing here. What is this, and why is it more complicated than it needs to be? And the end result is the Islanders, who went in with a 3.5% chance of getting the top overall pick, end up winning the draft lottery. I guess that's why it's a lottery. Sorry, San Jose. You won't have the number 1 pick 2 consecutive years.
Too bad on that.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening today? NYU normally isn't the center of the sports kind of, or much less football. I don't even think they play football at NYU. I know they have like Division III basketball there in New York University. That's where Bill Belichick is going to give his next interview in this book tour, and probably this will just be a bunch of kids, and it'll be moderated, and who knows if it's even going to be out. Why am I bringing this up? Did you know it wasn't until today that the actual damn book hasn't been released?
I heard that the book was released
The book
today.
is out, and yes, he thanks his creative muse, Jordan, the muse,
Yeah.
and everybody pointing out
bet
like
she's a creative muse.
it's true. They don't even he doesn't even mention Robert Kraft in that. The guy who signed all the checks.
Yeah.
The guy who, you're not Bill Belichick if it's not for Robert Kraft. As much as you don't like the guy, if Bill Belichick stays with the Jets, we forget about this guy, right?
Let's not forget he didn't win anything until Tom Brady became his franchise quarterback. I would still say, I know this will rub some people the wrong way. I don't believe Bill Belichick is the greatest NFL head coach of all time. I just do not. I do not. I think his success is a byproduct of having the best quarterback of all time for the longest amount of time. Brady meant more to that dynasty than Belichick.
But then Belichick saw something in Brady. I think it's hand in hand. I think you're splitting hairs, but then it's the owner. But then eventually, that's the story, right? Like, these egos got so big. We saw this with, like, Shaq and Kobe. Okay, we can only win for a certain amount of time. Or maybe, like, you can't tell me that Brady had to leave. He won a Super Bowl out in Tampa Bay, snapped his fingers and said, voila, let's go win it. A franchise that was, 500-ish all of a sudden wins a Super Bowl? How does that work? It's a testament to Tom Brady, and it's the closing argument, Danger. And that's why I always thought that you would have Belichick saying, you know what, I can snap my fingers too. Except, you know what, he didn't. When Brady left and you would end up with a Mac Jones, that franchise was in the tank. It was absolutely in the tank.
I mean, if he's such a great coach, should be able to recreate that magic with another quarterback, right? I mean, it doesn't even have to be a sixth rounder. You invested heavily in Mac Jones.
I mean, we can joke about Jordan Hudson, but how did we go from man who's revered, and look, I respect your take, and you're not alone in that.
No, I think he's a great head coach.
But now he's a punchline on Saturday Night Live.
Sure,
that's not an exaggeration. You were in this relationship where we're just saying, what is this all about? North Carolina took you in, and are the Tar Heels actually going to be a team that compete? Because in the NCAA, Danger, you should be able to, especially in the ACC. All right, we're going to compete right off the bat. How Deion Sanders made his team relevant. Is Belichick going to make the Tar Heels relevant other than what we have here?
It would be funny to me if the Tar Heels did less than what the Buffaloes did once Deion came on campus, right? Like year one, they had the big upset, right? It was, everybody's talking about it. They were the biggest story in sports for the beginning of that college football season.
BTCU, everybody's like, wow. Now, mind you, they lost a bunch of games down the stretch, but that was year one.
And he was always up front about, hey, this isn't going to happen overnight. We're going to need to get players. We're going to need to get better. Year two, an improvement. You had two really, really good players in Hunter and Shador. And now let's see what that program looks like without them. And let's see if he can continue to elevate that program. I don't think it happens overnight for Bill Belichick. I think
he's got an easy schedule here. Just pulled it up, and coincidentally, it is TCU who they start off with, and you could say that's the tough. You get by TCU, they play at Charlotte, win. They host Richmond. Oh boy, another subdivision team, win. Central Florida should be a win. October 4th, hosting Clemson. They're just booking, ESPN's morning show out there right now, right? That's that's the one there. And then 3 weeks after that on Halloween, you get you're at Syracuse. I'm looking at this North Carolina schedule, Danger, and okay, Clemson's on there, and I don't see Florida State. I don't. This team at worst should have 2 losses.
2 losses, 3 losses.
Yeah, but it's not going to be the case, though. Do we believe that? Can he adjust his style to the modern collegiate athlete?
It's going to be worth checking out. And I'm with you. We talked about it yesterday. I can't get enough of the story. I just keep feeding me Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick drama. I want to see. We're all. You know why we're all engaged in it? Because we were waiting for the train wreck. We're waiting for the cars to crash. We're waiting for this to end badly. Because we all believe it's going to end badly.
it will end, but the question is, how does it end? Does it just end up with like a mutual statement?
All
and you're
things
moving
end
on?
badly, or they don't end. If all things end badly, but otherwise, why would they end? I think, is it a statement? Yeah, but it'll be a statement that's either cold or you'll look at it and be like, oh, okay. They're not going to really tell us. And they didn't really, they tell us that they met on an airplane. Do we believe that they met on a flight? Do we believe that that's?
No, the defense there just leads you to think, okay, why are you getting all skittish about this?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
that's what people. Belichick never gave Linda the ring. That's the other thing too. Is Jordan going to want to get her claws in there and make sure she's Jordan Belichick?
She wants to get the ring.
And why do I care about this?
You're right.
Yeah,
I think why we care is because of what he's been for as long as he's been that, and just how much a 24-year-old girlfriend has altered his image, altered his path, his persona, and our view of him. Because we've gone through like the stages, right? Like Bill Belichick's dating a 24-year-old. Have you seen her? Whoa,
wait a second. Why do we have this doorbell footage of him leaving her apartment?
Right.
Like, what is this?
Right. Oh, he's doing the walk of shame. Coach is doing the walk of shame? Okay, good for you, Coach. We went from it being a joke, like not taking it seriously, to, oh, no, she's serious. She's serious about controlling all these different elements of his life and posting them on social media and sending out statements on North Carolina letterhead. Like, she's not a PR person, because PR people don't act the way she acted in the CBS Sunday Morning video. That's not what PR people do. It's a different kind of beast. And I do think it alters his image. I think it makes us view him through a different lens. Whereas last year we were all kind of laughing and, way to go, Bill Belichick. He knows his way around Nantucket. Remember that? Yeah. And now it's like, no, Bill, it's time to eject, buddy.
Well, also, like, when you get into football season, here's what happens. You get really, really busy. Heck, you and I just call high school games. We're like, okay, I'm ready for the season. Okay, it's good. It's over. We get our time back. Like, you're Bill Belichick. How do you manage all this? Well, one way is just to have her riding shotgun, I guess.
Or just she's completely out of the picture because his only focus is football. Has she been with him through a coaching cycle, a coaching season? She hasn't, right?
No. He was coaching the Patriots when that ring footage came out. So they come back from a game overseas. This is the story. They lose the Colts. It was something like 10-6. Gross, absolute gross game. That's when, as the story goes, Kraft made up his mind, okay, we got to make a change, but he's Bill Belichick. I'm not doing this now. But quite often when you come back from playing a game in London or wherever it was, hey, we're going to give you a bye. And that's where, all right, well, so the relationship was going on during that season.
Okay.
So if that's a barometer in any way, like, okay, that last Patriots season, were you distracted?
It was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah, I think it's time to eject, Bill. I think it's time to, and, you know, it really doesn't matter how attractive she is. At some point, he's going to get tired of her crap. He's going to get, and maybe it's during football season. Maybe it is when there are games on the line and he's knee-deep in prep and doesn't want to deal with the image stuff that she seems to be so concerned with.
One of the things I look forward to every year, it's training camp when the national guys come in. I mean, like, oh, gosh. I mean, like, last couple of years, we've had Evan Washburn from CBS on. And
great hair. Lego hair.
Great hair.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give him some product this year. Matt Perino cement he puts in his head. He's telling a story about asking coaches what they read and everything. Do we ask Evan Washburn, reading Belichick's book? I'm not reading this. I'm sorry. What are you going to learn from Bill Belichick that you don't already know? Are you hoping to get life advice? Like this is some sort of self-help guide in terms of your coaching or your, just to be a better.
Oh, I'm sure there's some guys out there that would love to know how he pulled a 24-year-old Jordan Hudson. Is there a chapter devoted to that since she's the creative muse behind this project? Can he share his secrets?
Muse.
He just knows his way around Nantucket, and we're going to leave it at that?
If you went home tonight and told Sandy, you know what, Happy Mother's Day, I just want to let you know you are my muse, she'd look at you like you had snakes coming out of your hair.
She'd laugh.
Yeah, like
she'd point and laugh.
Muse.
Who are you? What are you talking about? I don't know anymore, sweetheart. I don't know. She's 24 and she's his creative muse. If you're a guy, if you're picking that up saying, what can I learn? Maybe there's a chapter. I don't think there is. I think it's all about football. It's all about his time as a coach. Kraft not being mentioned once is hilarious. I imagine Brady's mentioned in it, right? He's got to be talking about his relationship with his quarterback.
Right, but not to mention your owner?
Yeah, that's a
well,
slight.
This is also a thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Belichick in the Hall of Fame?
Not yet.
Is Robert Kraft in the Hall of Fame?
Oh.
He's not. That's also like now talk about the Ages of Orchid or whatever that place was called. I don't know if that hurt.
Oh, the spa.
That like that's next time we get one of our Boston info guys, like why isn't Kraft in the Hall of Fame? You have Jerry Jones in the Hall of Fame. You have Ralph Wilson in the Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft took a franchise from nothing. Took a franchise that could have ended up in Hartford, Connecticut. It was playing in a 1AA stadium, basically. And you built this empire. He's a cornerstone in this league, and they haven't. Now, it's not the NFL. It's the pro football writers. Why haven't they honored this guy? What's the reason there?
The pro football writers, because there's a lot of integrity involved in what they do, and there's a vetting process. We're not interested in honoring a man who resorts to those type of facilities.
That was a telegraph pass. I'm just, okay, when are you going to hit the button? You hit the button.
On that note, we go to Michael Leone, Rochester Americans head coach.
Assuming he's not listening, he's like, why do I got to go on with these?
Yeah, really? We'll check in on Coach after his team dispatched of Syracuse in 3 straight games. The Sweepola with either Laval or Cleveland on deck next year for the North Division. Finally, the Amerks playoff push continues, and we check in with their head coach next on The Fan.
You're listening. Sports Update.
We could know the Emmerich's next opponent tonight. It's Game 4, the best of 5 up in suburban Montreal. Cleveland at Laval. Laval up 2-1. Head coach Mike Leone of the Rochester Americans. He joins us next year in the Sports Bar. Bill's rookie camp beginning this coming weekend. Now, not a rookie is Josh Palmer. Palmer talking about what he's working on.
Just getting bigger, faster, stronger. The details, because it's a new playbook for me.
Right, yeah.
Just getting the details of learning the language. So it's just figuring out, okay, what do we call this play and what do we call this route and what's your alignment on this play. So I think those are the biggest things that I want to get out of this offseason program.
Palmer today on One Bills Live. The Yankees again host the Padres tonight. Pitcher Carlos Carrasco designated for assignment by New York. Mets tonight in Arizona. The Rochester Red Wings begin a series at Scranton. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Amherst fans are the ones making the noise, and that'll be it. The Amherst win the series and move on to the next round. Final score in Syracuse, the Amherst defeating Syracuse by a 4-0 margin as they'll await the winner of the Laval-Cleveland series to find out who they're going to play.
There's the Hall of Famer Don Stevens on the call. You heard the action here on your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey. The Fan Rochester as the Amherst wait for their opponent in the North Division Final. We welcome in head coach Mike Leone, who's always good with his time, to join us here in the Sports Bar. And we talk about before we talk about team's performance and what we have ahead here on this playoff push, Coach. You're a hockey guy. I'm a hockey guy. We love hockey. But can you in any way, shape, or form explain how the NHL draft lottery is better this year than it ever was before, or how it even works at this point?
Yeah, it's I was actually driving back to Roch, and someone texted me that Islanders got the first pick. Sometimes I go down the conspiracy theory.
We're all there. We're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Like I even look at the one, like, this is going back a while, but you think about like Austin Matthews, the one time that Toronto doesn't make the playoffs and they get Austin. It's just crazy to think about. I'm sure there's a lot of. I saw a couple clips on social media of just Islanders fans going crazy, but it's crazy how those. I'd love to see the behind the scenes for sure.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not too concerned about the draft, and I'm sure you're not too, because we got a lot of work ahead of us here, Coach, coming up. You in particular, congratulations on beating the Syracuse Crunch in 3 games. Tell us about that third clinching game there, Coach. And let's start off with Mason Yops, where it doesn't have to be pretty sometimes. He's just plowing his way ahead, setting the tone for your team on the road there in Game 3.
Yeah, it was. First off, our fans, like, it was pretty incredible. Even the chance, like, before we were going out, it's like a little dungeon there where the coach's room, and then you see our fans, and I thought they gave us a lot of life during the game, and just incredible performance by the group. And then Yabo, you need veteran leadership that has played in a lot of playoff games. I think those guys really stepped up and came through, and he scored a huge goal for us 4-on-4, and kind of the one that sealed the deal, that third one in that front screen. But just the leadership and the calmness and the poise to go in that rink, and like, hats off to our group. That's a really good team. They play really hard. I think we went 5-1-1 in that building this year, which is almost unheard of. So just really proud of all the guys. Like, it was an incredible effort from the group.
Well, knowing that you were able to dispatch of the Crunch the way you did with 11 unanswered goals after giving up the first 2 in this series, I mean, obviously the fan base is excited. You saw it and felt it there in Syracuse. But then we've got this long kind of hiatus here between series. And I'm just thinking to myself, as a coach, how are you keeping the guys engaged? How do you make sure that there isn't any rust on the ice the next time you guys do play meaningful hockey here against either Cleveland or Laval?
Yeah, I think it's just coming up with a plan, keeping the guys engaged. We kind of had a 3-on-3 tournament yesterday because there's just a lot of time between games, but it's also staying sharp. So talking to Crave and Michael and kind of like the sports science, so we're going to ramp things up. Like practice will be a little longer, high intensity. Plan on like having like basically like an inner squad scrimmage on Saturday. Obviously, it's not going to be the intensity of the game, but just to get the reps in, so guys are ready to go. But I think once you get to the game, regardless of when you're going to play, I think our guys, especially our group, they'll be ready to go. I don't have really any concerns. I mean, it's the playoffs. I think if whoever we're going to play, I think our guys will be ready to go game one.
Yeah, if anything, it gives you a little extra time. Maybe guys that are kind of healed up. And look, we can ask you the same question this time next week. I got a feeling that maybe, but we don't know the schedule here officially, Coach. But give us what we know, what you could share now about Rusek. Also, Komarov, who was not available there in Game 3 for your team.
Yeah. Comey's back. He's skating. He's good to go. So he's cleared, which is great. Really happy for him to be on the ice the last couple of days. Looks good. Roos, there's a good possibility. I think, this time has really helped Roos dealing with what he's dealing with. And I can't say for sure, but there's a possibility he could play game one.
What about goaltending? I mean, Levi has been spectacular all season long, and we'd love to give you the opportunity while you're on with us to talk about what he's meant so far this postseason. 2 straight shutouts here against Syracuse.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been, you need your goalie. He's got to be your best player in the playoffs if you want to make a run. And Dev did a great job making timely saves. A really great job, like with his rebound control, especially against that team. He's putting pucks in the corners, getting whistles. He was fantastic. I think goalies, get into a groove and they're really confident. And he's pretty much had that swagger all season. But also, I just think our guys did a great job to, like, you look at what we gave up for the entire series. I think we gave up 1 odd man rush the entire 3 games, and if you're going to do that, you got a chance. And we did a really good job in front of our net. Our penalty kill was lights out. I think we killed off every single power play that they had. Really selfless performance from everyone. But Dev's been our anchor all year, and we're going to need him to be in the next round.
Head coach Mike Leone, Rochester Americans, still waiting the schedule here for round 2, Laval and Cleveland. And gosh, the one thing we kind of learned here, Mike, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the format. Now, first of all, I'd rather have it 7. I think that would make it more entertaining for the fans. I think any one of these combination of these 3 markets, you would get great crowds, but I digress. The idea that it's going to be a 2-3 format, not a 2-2-1. Your thoughts on that, and how much pressure does that put on a particular team in games 1 and 2?
I think you could look at it a lot of different ways. I think whatever the schedule is, it's a race to 3. So regardless of, you could look at it a million different ways, but I think it's just focusing on narrowing your focus on, if we start out 2 games at home, I think it gives the guys a lot of confidence. We've been good in that building this year. We've won a couple times. I think we've won 2 out of the 4 games we've played there. But either way, everybody goes through it, whatever the format is. Like you got to be ready to go from game 1, and regardless of what the format is, it's a race to 3, and you got to do whatever it takes. It'd be nice to get the 2 wins if we start at home, but it's just. The reality is if you win 1 at home and you lose 1, you got to go on the road and win games. Either way, you have to win on the road. We've been a really good road team all season. I think we proved it again in Syracuse, the performance that we had. So for sure, I think if it was up to me, you play 7 games like the NHL does, but we don't. And the first 2 rounds are 5, so it's a race to 3. So I think it's really important to get off to a really good start, especially if we play on home ice, and then kind of go from there.
Mike, what about these 2 potential opponents here? We know you were a little bit more successful against Cleveland during the regular season than against Laval, but how do the Amerks match up against these 2 opponents? What do they bring to the table here should they advance?
Yeah, I think both teams are both teams are really good teams. I wouldn't bet against Cleveland. I mean, they were down 3-0 to Hershey and forced it to Game 7 last year. They got 2. I would say if you look at the playoffs right now, they probably have 2 of the best top 10 players in the league with Jet Greaves and Matejchuk in the D-core. And then Laval's obviously they've been the best team in the league all year. I think I'm really I don't want to say whoever we play, we're going to play a really good team. I think it's a little like with Laval. I think. Like, I look at the last game we played them at home. We had 4 guys out of the lineup. We outshot them 47-15. We lost 3-2. Like, I think we've played really good against Laval. The record probably doesn't indicate some of the underlying numbers, how we've played against that team. The games we played there, I think it was in February. I think we had two leads with 5 minutes to go left in the game on the road, and we didn't end up getting points. So I think regardless of who we play, I believe in our team, believe in the group. I think the guys believe in themselves, and regardless, we're going to get a really good opponent.
It's the question about how you prepare here, Coach. Are you like us and other Amherst fans just watching this tonight on Flow Hockey? Or I'm only familiar with the NFL where they give you the all-22 and the coach's tape or anything like that. Are you watching tonight, or is there some other version that you'll be studying up here in terms of the film?
Yeah. No, I'll probably watch for sure with the NHL. I try not to get too wrapped up in the looking. We've played both teams a lot. We know what we're going to get. I think anyone who we play, I think it's more about your team and your identity and how you have to play to be successful. I think the X's and O's part of it is, I think sometimes gets blown out of proportion in the playoffs. I think it's more executing how you need to play and your kind of core principles for your team to be successful. But I'll definitely watch for sure.
Are you paying attention to what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I poured one out for your guy Cooper in Tampa Bay when they were eliminated by the Panthers last week.
Yeah, it was tough for sure. I think you get into the playoffs, you got to – I mean, if you just look at some of the injuries that they had, it was kind of mind-blowing that they even won one game. You got Hedman was playing with a broken foot. You had a guy with a torn MCL, broken hand. So it's just it's unfortunate, but that's the way – I mean, you look at a team like Dallas. They had probably 2 best players out of the lineup, and they beat, I thought, probably with the best roster in the NHL in Colorado. So you're going to go through adversity in the playoffs. You got to be able to overcome it. But it's incredible hockey to watch. I mean, it's the games played at a different level. The intensity, the margin for error is really small, but just everybody's commitment to play on the right side of the puck is really evident. The game, you don't really see a lot of ozone time out of teams. It's more played in the neutral zone and managing the puck, and you've probably seen more dump-ins than you're ever going to see in playoffs because you can't turn over the puck. So I think that's, for me, I'm more of a hockey purist, so I think all those people that think, you got to carry the puck in the zone and you got to make a bunch of plays. I think you watch NHL playoffs, there's a different script being written.
Coach, you're a hockey purist, but the question is, are you superstitious? Because Danger and I are a little bit here where you might want to come into the studio. I don't know if we want to upset anybody here. This is working with you on the phone here. In fact, we may have to lay down a rule. As long as you keep winning, we need to keep you away.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that one, but you guys said it, so now we got to go with it.
So are you
twist his arm, Gene. It really, that was a really tough sell.
Are you superstitious there, Mike?
Yeah, I have my quirks, and for sure. Yeah, like I do for 100%. Like I always have a routine, especially come game time. Go through a certain things. It's probably crazy, but like everybody, yeah, just like certain things. Like a lot of times after second periods, I'll have Pacer talk to the team, and I won't talk to the team because it works, so I stick with that. So just little things like that for sure.
Mike, we'll be talking to you again next week, and your team still would not have played another game.
No.
So we'll try to come up with some fresh. Be ready to talk about how the weeks of practice have been going here as we're waiting for your next opponent. And in the meantime, thanks for the time, and get it the F on, man. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Who do you guys think is going to win Stanley Cup? Who do you guys?
I made my prediction before the. I don't feel good about it. I feel kind of icky saying this.
Winnipeg.
No, I love Winnipeg. I grew up near Winnipeg, so I'll have a soft spot for the Jets always. But I actually think, and maybe I'm stupid for thinking this, I think it might be Toronto's year.
Wow, okay. They looked good last night.
Well, and maybe I'm stupider than danger because I can't back down on this. I like the team that Toronto beat last night. I think they go back-to-back, the Panthers here, Mike. And I'm not a fan of that, but, it is what it is. But
I like it.
Mike, appreciate the time. Have some good practices, and again, we will have award-winning questions for you coming up.
Hot
next
practice talk next week, Mike. Hot practice talk. Can't wait to talk.
Okay. All right, see you guys. Thanks, man.
You got it. There's
Mike
Leone calling us from the atrium there, Blue Cross Arena.
What kind of? Do you think his tone? Because what we think, and again, we're not 100% sure, but this is what we're hearing. Game 1 will be Wednesday the 14th.
A week from tomorrow.
That's crazy. So, where I thought if Laval wins tonight, all right, let's get this going this coming Friday. No. We want to wait. Well, you can't get it Sunday because we really don't want to start on Mother's Day. Let's start it on Wednesday the following week.
And because you've got the format set up the way it's set up, if Laval were to win, the Amerks would host games 1 and 2 before the series would then shift to Laval.
If that's the case, I shouldn't bring this up on air. I think we should be out there on the 16th, game 2.
We'll have to figure this out.
Yeah.
We'll have to work out.
Because Wednesday is going to be a big day with the NFL schedule, and we'll have leagues and blah, blah, blah. But game 2 might be the night to go out there.
Well, we appreciate Mike Leone breaking away from the busy practice schedule here as his team prepares for a game eventually, thanks to the AHL's quirky postseason schedule.
He's right, though, about Laval. Yes, Laval had the more points this year, but there's no reason for them.
No, they played Laval. They played them
afraid of this. And by the way, Laval has some kind of they have 2 goalies right now. So who's in, who's not? I'd love to get a little more controversy up there.
Be a lot of fun when we actually get to it, but appreciate Mike Leone stopping by the sports bar, sharing some of his insight here on what the team has accomplished so far this postseason and what might be ahead here on this Calder Cup playoff run. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Some news and notes from the NFL. We'll also have happy hour coming up at 5 o'clock and plenty of time for your calls if you want to pull up a stool and join us. 866-4326 is our phone number, 585-866-4FAN.
To you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
So off-season workouts continuing in Buffalo. One Bills Live earlier today. Heard from Josh Palmer, others stopping by, just making themselves available. We'll learn more about some of these new faces.
Yeah, it's that one time a year where it's really no pressure. Coaches can't kind of get on you, and everybody feels great here in the spring, is the way it kind of should be.
I'll tell you, I don't know if it was ever something that was discussed during the draft or not, but if you were somebody that was hoping or thinking that the Bills were going to trade James Cook before they had to be faced with the dilemma of paying him what he actually believes he's worth, I don't get the sense that that's happening. I think he's a Buffalo Bill in 25.
That's not happening. This is the Bills team that how would you, if you think that's an option, how would you go about replacing?
I think it was an option during the draft. I think during the draft, everything is on the table.
But even still, okay, you get Cam Scadaboo or whoever. How can you tell me that whatever Ashton Genty may be the production you could say, all right, pencil it in. For what James Cook does for this offense, the risk that you're running is, are we going to get all bitchy about playing time? And that wasn't the case last year. But I think it kind of worked having all the three guys. I disagree with how the Bills managed that down the stretch in Kansas City, but why would you want to mess with something else? The Bills kind of also telegraphed this danger by not spending a late-round pick on a running back, and you could have easily done that. Look, running backs you can pick them up behind an offensive line like that. Wherever James Cook goes next, put it this way, you better have a good offensive line like Buffalo.
Hope he stays healthy. His brother ran into the injury concerns and the injury bug, and it kind of, I mean, his career felt like it was cut short because of the time missed with injury.
Yeah, and maybe there's some middle ground here where, all right, James, you're not holding out, but we're certainly not going to see you in the preseason, and we're just going to make sure that you're getting the conditioning and the work you need in here, but we're not going to tax you at all here in the summer. I wouldn't want any part of that.
Are you with Perino and Matt Perino, who joined us earlier in the sports bar to talk some Buffalo Bills? Are you with Perino and that the defensive line is the position group you're going to watch with most anticipation?
Yeah.
I phrased it maybe wrong because I said to him, hey, which position group do you think will be an Achilles heel? I don't know that there's an Achilles heel to any of the position groups.
No, it's the one where you don't know. I guess that's it. And I'm going to say, when it comes to the corner position, I think Dorian Strong might have a chance. I'm paying attention to the corners because I'd like to see Tre'Davious White show flashes. And he's healthy, and this is a guy that, or you're going to put him out there. Normally, you put backup corners in the second half of a preseason game. It'll be a little strange to see Tre'Davious White out there, but if he's dominating, all right, that's certainly a hope. Jordan Hancock, is he going to push Cam Ward off this roster, or Jamarcus Ingram? Like those are the sort of storylines I'm looking forward to.
Safety is interesting to me. And you mentioned Hancock. Where do they put him? Where do they play him? Safety is interesting to me because I want to see what Cole Bishop is. We saw what he was during his rookie season. You know, is there that next step for him? And what does it mean for DeMar Hamlin? Is Taylor Rapp a liability? I don't believe Taylor Rapp is a liability. I just think he's all hustle. So, like, it's all about them gelling and coming together and being cohesive the way we grew so accustomed to and got spoiled by with Poyer and Hyde.
It's funny, like, you're mentioning all this, and if you had to say what is the one guy they brought in that nobody talks about today that we could be talking about midseason, like, wow, that was a find. Derek Forrest.
Oh, sure.
Like, Derek Forrest is somebody that I want to know a little bit more. Like, wait a second, why didn't Washington keep this guy around? Same thing with, like, Micah Hyde. I remember Micah Hyde making plays with the Packers. Didn't know Jordan Poyer from anything. And that kind of worked out itself. But to me, Derek Forrest is the guy that, all right, he's going to be pushing for some playing time. I'm excited to see him.
Happy Hour is coming up next in the sports bar.
I got a note before we get to that.
Were you just going to tell me that the Celtics launched another missed three?
No. That's been going on all day, by the way. So sovereignty's not running the Preakness. Like horse racing had this big moment, biggest 30 ratings in 36 years, and we're all excited. And no, there will not be a Triple Crown because they want to do what's best for the horse.
Oh, who cares?
Get out there and run the race. Kidding. Yeah, I mean that feels right. That feels like what horse racing has always been. Like the Triple Crown is so elusive, and when it happens.
But you want to see at least him give it a try, right?
Yeah,
You're like, you don't normally
Here's
have.
where I'm at with horse racing. I'm just under the assumption that they're all cheaters. That's where I'm. That they're all looking for a competitive advantage, and they're all doping the horses in one way, shape, or form. I don't want to. I hate that my mind is cynical and I go there, but it feels like there's been so much smoke around horse racing for so many years with some of these trainers that I just like, okay, I'll watch it because it's on, but
you want to talk about something. This is your mind-blowing stat. Very incestual, if you ask me.
I heard this.
Every horse in the Kentucky Derby field was a descendant of Secretary.
Yep, I saw that.
How is that? That's where the money's at, Danger. You say, hey, for teams, the money's in development stage. And nobody's going to argue, hey, siring. Yes, that's where the money's at. So, you know what? Sorry, we'd like to go for the Triple Crown, but, sovereignty, more important that he kind of gets it on here.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we'll get to happy hour next in the sports bar.
On that note.
And we'll talk about what we saw last night because really entertaining night in sports. And the postseason is coming to life now. If you were a little bit let down by round one of the NBA postseason, if you were let down by the first round of the Stanley, I don't know how you could have been let down by the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but we've got some action to recap and look forward to tonight as well. We have time for your calls at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
WBEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports update.
We could know who the Amherst next opponent is tonight. It's game 4 of the best of 5. Cleveland at Laval. Laval is up 2-1, a win for the Rocket, and they will face the Amherst in round 2. Bills rookie camp beginning this weekend. Continuing today, OTAs. Josh Palmer not worried about targets.
I run every route to win, so if it doesn't come to me, great. If it comes to me, even better, because I know I'm running my route to get somebody else open. So now I'm here just ready to explode and show to myself that I've been working towards this position, and being in this position, how more of a refined receiver I am.
Palmer today on One Bills Live. Yankees host the Padres tonight. Team making a move, sending down or designating for assignment Carlos Carrasco. The Mets out in Arizona. Rochester Red Wings begin a series tonight at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Phase 2 of the offseason program continues. They were outside today.
The culture here is great, but I feel like I'm fitting in and I'm finding my lane. And
Mike Danger.
I don't like to talk about myself. Will you allow me just this one time?
Gene Battaglia.
We are so provincial. We are so provincial.
And the New York Knicks stun the Celtics. Left side Gordon for the win. Yeah! And the Denver Nuggets shock the Oklahoma City Thunder in game number 1.
Pacers, Cavs tonight.
The Wolves against the Warriors team.
They score! Willie Nylander!
Draft lottery came out. Islanders get the top overall pick.
And Buffalo fell 2 spots. They were picked 9th overall.
Amherst hockey.
Playoffs?
We keep on waiting.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Yeah, and during your update, Gene, they launched another couple of threes and missed. The Celtics blow a 20-point lead. The Knicks take a 1-0 lead in their series. That was just some of the action from last night in the world of sport that we're talking about and reacting to today during happy hour in the sports bar. Glad you're with us.
I got a confession on the NBA, because the NBA, I say I'm a Knicks fan, but the whole league, and it's just so long, and maybe it's load management, maybe it's a stupid in-season tournament, a lot of things that, okay, but now that we get to the second round, I could do without everything. I could do without the play-in tournament. I could do without the first round, but now that you have the 8 best teams, and this is good basketball, notwithstanding what the Celtics weren't doing last night.
Still good players, still a really good team.
Still entertaining, yes. And you have, all right, you know what makes it fun, Danger? We were wrong. We thought, okay, Boston tonight and Boston in 6 or 7. Hey, Cleveland, maybe not. Maybe it's Indiana. This is what we want. Hey, Oklahoma City, team on the rise. No, I'm Jokic here. This is fun. And you're going to get another one tonight, Golden State and Minnesota, where wouldn't surprise me at all if Minnesota just dropped the hammer on
I
these
just
guys.
like that we're at a stage now, the final 8 in both the NHL and the NBA, where we really can see stars elevate, stars go to the next level. The stars of the sports that we love, this is their time, right? Seeing Brunson do what he did last, he's just ice cold, and he's just a different cut. That guy is a different animal altogether. Jokic is going to make a case as to why he should be the MVP based on what we saw last night with him and the Nuggets and what they did to OKC to win that game down the stretch as well. It's in the NHL, it's the same thing. You know, you see William Nylander score 2 quick goals for the Leafs. It's like, okay, the stars are elevating their game. We're going to see Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel in a series together. That's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens between the Oilers and the Knights later on tonight. The stars are just going to elevate. They're going to and by the way, I don't count out Boston because they lost game 1. I'm not counting out Cleveland.
No, this is like any Celtic fan knows. Usually it's kind of flipped. Hey, we're going to win here game 1 and then game 2. They kind of checked out last night. That's what other excuse? You're playing the Knicks. You have Brunson, and once they started chipping, and I was out last night, Danger, when you're watching it and you have Knick fans around, that's always kind of an exciting thing too.
Yeah, it was that was unbelievable, and a friend of mine was texting like, if you're going to come back from a 20-point deficit in the second half, you're not losing the game in overtime. That proved to be correct. The Knicks heard you, and they get the Game 1 win. But again, you got good players in both teams, and both teams are where they are for a reason. I expect Boston to bounce back, and I expect Cleveland to bounce back as well. Tyrese Halliburton is great for Indiana. And that's a lot of fun, and they got over on Game 1, but I still think Cleveland's going to make a series of that.
All right, so if you're Boston, though, like you're watching this, like drive, get a foul, it's not working.
Right.
15 of 60 from beyond the arc.
It's gross.
That's disgusting.
It's gross. Nobody wants to see that. So it's almost like they take – we talked about this before the postseason started about Boston. Like every now and then – it's almost like they take a night off, or they just forget how to play physical, or they won't play physical. They'll just huck up threes all night long. And they're fantastic. They're the defending champs for a reason. But that ain't going to fly. What are we doing?
Well, if you're Joe Mazzulla, are you switching this up, or are you just, okay, this was just one terrible night? I mean, if you break it down further, on uncontested threes, they missed 32 of 45. Uncontested.
Take it to the hole. Take it to drive the lane. What are we doing? It's just not. That's got to be frustrating if you're a Celtics fan. But then again, if you're a Celtics fan, you probably know like that's what this team is. Every now and then they'll put up a stinker, and they're not hitting their shots. They're vulnerable, and they were not hitting their shots last night. They were vulnerable. So New York gets the win. Denver gets the win over OKC. And we get to see more stars tonight with Steph, Jimmy Butler,
Halliburton,
Anthony Edwards, Garland. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going on in the NBA. The NHL, you had Game 1 between the Panthers and the Leafs. The Leafs get off to the early lead. The Panthers storm back a little bit in the third period. You've got an injury concern now, in net for the Leafs to see what happens here down the stretch. I was ready to watch that game and enjoy that game, but my mind was scrambled because unlike Eugene, I know you forgot about the NHL draft lottery.
Come on, I'm not the only one. Like, I get off the show, I knew it was coming up. Maybe it wasn't I forgot. I filtered it out. You only have so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
It wasn't interesting
you
to
used
me.
The B word.
Sorry. I'll make sure.
You used the B word. You said bandwidth like we're computers, like we're robots.
Oh, wait a second. Because I was deep in the weeds there with the bandwidth, and I want to make sure that when we're doing this, we have enough synergy on the show.
I'm trying to talk about with the draft lottery. I'm trying to get granular here with our conversation on the NHL draft lottery. If I may.
Is still king. Bandwidth.
I'm with you. I get it. And maybe this is what forced me into watching the draft lottery for the NHL last night was, I got home and my youngest daughter, Alexa's butt is firmly planted on the couch and she's watching the Met Gala. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's tonight. Oh.
Timeout, just a brief detour. When did that become the big thing? It's only recently, right? I know it's been around, but like, when did athletes? Was it OBJ? And again, there was Diggs. And
Diggs loves him the Met Gala.
He does, and there were a lot of athletes. Serena, like, when did that become? And once you get into the Met Gala, what actually happens? Isn't it just kind of like walking the red carpet? Here I am in New York, and here's what I'm wearing.
I took my daughter to the Met a couple of years ago. She had to see it. She had to see the steps where they put the red carpet, the whole thing. Like, she wanted to, and we went through the museum, and then they
so big you can't. Good luck getting through it. Yeah.
Right, it's a lot. It is a lot, and there's an exhibit, and the exhibit I think is what the gala is all about. Right? They unveil this new exhibit, and they do a new exhibit every year. So if you're a guest at the Met Gala, you go through the exhibit. I think. I don't know. I've never been invited, obviously, but I think that's what it's about, and then maybe there's a cocktail party, or I don't know. I don't think you're sitting down or accepting any awards. I think it's just a celebration of fashion, and look at what you're wearing, and look at who designed it. And
ESPN's covering this like a sports story when, there's Joe Burrow walking down. He's got his sunglasses on.
Justin Jefferson.
But is that really, they're just having a fun night out. great.
It's the off season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a problem with any athlete that says I'm going to the Met Gala, I'm getting dressed up, this designer designed this for me, and I'm going to be seen. Fine, it's the off season, but it's the whole presentation, everything about it's just so not for me. Like I'll watch some of it and I'll humor my daughters because they love it and they follow along and they know who everybody is, and I don't know who anybody is. But last night I'm like, yeah, I got work to do. I'm going in the basement. And I went in the basement and I turned on the TV and I have my laptop and I'm getting some work done.
Okay, now are you excited? You're thinking, ooh, Chicago can win this, or maybe the Sabres, or you just want to, you're tuning in?
Truthfully, I forgot about the lottery as well. I thought 7 o'clock I'm going to watch the Leafs. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, the lottery. I forgot if the lottery was before the game or during the game.
They used to do it at the intermission.
Right. So I was like, all right, 7 o'clock, I'll be ready to go. And so I started watching. And, Gino, I know that this is a new format that they rolled out last night. If you're like me, tell me, because I don't understand it. I don't understand why this format exists the way it does with these weighted odds and these 4-number combinations and the 14 lottery balls that are in there, and you can only move up certain amount if you win the lottery.
I mean, dude, I get it. I 100% get it. It's not complicated, but the way they present it in terms of here are the numbers, well, what does that mean? Is that my team or not? And I didn't see this, but it's basically this is the way it was done before. And you have 1,000 combinations?
1,001.
1,001.
1,001 4-number combinations with 14 different lottery balls in the hopper. Each non-playoff team gets a set of 4-number combinations based on their standings from the regular season. And so the Sharks, as an example here, had 185 of the 1,001 possible combinations. 18.5 chance to win the lottery, and they did not win the lottery.
So probably whoever the representative for each team, you're seeing this, okay, we have numbers, 550.
It's exciting for them because they know what numbers they have, but I don't know that that was made available to the fans.
So that's why, okay, that's the easy fix. Okay, if this is a true lottery, okay, hey, I'm Yolanda Vega or whoever, right? By the way, do you know we know a guy who auditioned for that? We talked to him on the air.
For to what? To replace Yolanda Vega?
This is way back before. Maybe it was Brandon McDaniels.
Oh, come on.
He took the train down, did his audition, didn't get the gig.
Oh.
Again, we're all full of sidebars and detours here in the sports bar, but right, you're sitting at home in granted danger. I don't play numbers.
All right, but what if?
No, listen. That's if you gave the numbers out ahead of time.
Right.
And you said Sabres fans tune in tonight, and if the Sabres get any one of these numbers, and we all see it. You're watching the lottery in real time.
Right.
Then everyone is invested. It's like, hey, we're going to spit up these numbers, and you don't have the ticket. So this doesn't mean anything to you.
That's right.
Okay, so we just solved it.
That's right. I don't know that we solved it, but we at least made it a little bit more user-friendly, where I would have a reason. After the first two were pulled, the first two numbers were pulled, then they put, here's what your team needs. They put it on the board. Here's what your team needs to win the lottery. These two numbers, or a combination of this, or this number. And it's like, well, that would have been nice information to know before you started pulling numbers, which I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was released, but they didn't make a big enough deal of it if it was. I would have loved to have known what the numbers were for the Sabres or for the Blackhawks or for any team that you wanted to see win the lottery. But instead, they do not just one draw, by the way, 2 draws. The first draw to determine the number 1 overall pick, the second draw to determine pick number 2. And as I mentioned, it's the Islanders getting the number 1 overall pick with a 3.5% chance of getting it going into the lottery.
Mike Leone joined us. Now, I don't know if he was listening prior, but the idea that the Islanders, for no reason other than, you know what, we could make a lot of money. Sorry, we awarded you the All-Star game, but we're going to take that right away. Wow. When does that ever happen for a reason that never mind?
That isn't political.
That isn't political.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a story, but we barely talked about it. The Islanders had the All-Star game in 2 years. They were awarded it, but you know what? We really like this other format of Four Nations.
We're just going to go to the Olympics this year. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Olympics this year and a Four Nations thingy, but they're not going to call it the Four Nations in 2 years. Maybe the Islanders at the happy medium if they get to host one of these games. So no All-Star game. And by the way, I'm fine with that. Get rid of lots of All-Star games. But in lieu of that, the Islanders who had, you know what percentage they had to win?
3.5.
That's right. Sabres were at 6.5.
Sabres actually lost ground, by the way. They went from pick 7 to pick 9.
Because the Islanders jumped ahead of them.
Right. It was. I want to say the Islanders jumped them, and was it Utah that jumped them? There was another team that
Nashville?
No, there was another
not
team that
Nashville?
jumped. I got to look that up. I
Yeah.
forget. But I was so lost. I really didn't understand how any of it was working. And God bless John Buccigross. He's a hockey guy, and he's trying to explain it. And I'm like, you absolutely lost me. I had to go back, watch like a video explanation, read, like why this is happening the way it's happening. And I still don't have, because they didn't make a big enough deal about the numbers that were assigned to every team going into it. And I guess if you're the Sharks and you have 185 different combinations, how are you getting that out to your fans so that they know and can get excited about having the number 1 overall pick?
Well, how do you get that out? Who has it now? Is it still 13? I would admit it used to be like a big rating draw. Like after the weather, hey, before sports.
The lottery, yeah.
Yeah, before sports, everybody tuned into the lottery. And this is like my previous life, while I was in high school and working my way through college. I worked the service desk at the Mount Reed Wegmans Danger, and I would be able to hit the numbers and box it and everything else. And half the people that were buying were like, you really shouldn't be doing this. But I would do it anyways. But that was
under
the
your
one
breath,
that,
you're calling it the loser tax under your breath?
No, I did not say that.
Yes, you were.
I did not say that. But why can't you make these numbers public? That would have been really fun if you said, hey, Sabre fans, here are your numbers. Tune in tonight to see if it kind of comes up. And then instead of Buccigross, it could be you could get any Hollywood Jimmo.
Maybe that's what
to
it
read
was,
the
though.
numbers.
Maybe it was because if the Sabres had, what was it, a 9.7% chance of getting the first overall pick?
6.5.
So you would have had 65 different combinations.
Yeah. So, like when you're watching at home, okay, here are the daily numbers, and I picked today's date: 5-6-2-5. 5. Ooh. 6. Oh no! 1. Oh.
But would you watch the lottery numbers pulled if you had 65 tickets in front of you? I guess is my question.
Yes.
You would still watch.
If you are like a team, of course.
65.
Dude, people are watching. Do you think your odds are way better for the New York Islanders than winning whatever it was tonight?
Yeah, they had a 3.5%, so they would have had 35 different combinations to look at. 35 different combinations that could have played out for them to get for them to get the number 1 overall pick, and they hit. And the Sabres went backwards. And San Jose and Chicago each got pushed down a notch. I don't know. I just feel like there's probably an easier way. I know that you want to discourage tanking, but worst record, number 1 overall pick.
Dude, it doesn't matter. In a draft like this, we'll get to that week in June, and here are the guys that the Sabres might draft. Maybe because our souls are tarred, and we're just dead inside in Western New York when it comes to this franchise. Great, we're drafting another kid. Fantastic. Like, to me, like the NFL gives you hope. Like, hey, this is the missing piece for your team, or hey, this is the quarterback. NHL, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Do you remember Murray's reaction to losing number 1 to Edmonton, the pick that would become Connor McDavid instead of Jack Eichel?
I do not.
I want to say he had like a puss on his face, like when he lost, like it was like, oh, like, and if you know that going in, like we should have known, Jack Eichel was doomed in Buffalo from the start. Like Jack Eichel knew he was the consolation prize, and we didn't really, the reaction we gave was like, oh, we wanted McDavid all along. McDavid was, like, I think, the guy that everybody knew was going to be surefire. Eichel was a nice consolation prize. But It just didn't. It's ridiculous that we're still talking about how bad this franchise has been through the last 14 years, and we're still having this conversation. We're not talking about them in the postseason. We're not talking about them advancing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's and Eichel, by the way, facing off against McDavid in that series tonight late.
Yeah, it's but the Sabres will have a new strength and conditioning coach. That's your story.
There's that.
Yay.
Well, that was what was missing all along.
That is that. So Bills rookies coming up this weekend. We talked to Matt Perino earlier in the show today. If you missed that, certainly the Odyssey app. And we did talk a little bit about the schedule. And the thing with Matt is, well, he's kind of on our side. Like, meaning Matt is like the info guy. He's talking to reporters. It's more like, okay, he really doesn't know. We're all kind of speculating. However, Danger, I think on our show we're pretty good at kind of deducing things and talking to people. And Matt's along with us on this. Like, Christmas night in Buffalo with the snow coming down, and you want to make your TV partners happy. Feels like that's something that could be happening.
Christmas or Thanksgiving, I would say a holiday, plenty of primetime games. And I'm still thinking that it's Bills, Steelers in Ireland. I don't know why, but I just feel like the NFL knows that if you wanted to, the Steelers are going to travel, but if you really wanted to make an impression on Ireland, bring the Bills and the Steelers, and let's just
with Sean McDermott.
Let's just get weird. Let's just get weird.
I can't see that because then the Bills would have only 7 true road games. Well, we consider that a neutral site game, right? It wouldn't be like going down to Pittsburgh, right?
Well, it is a road game. They have to travel farther than any other game. They would have to.
So does Pittsburgh, though. You're not playing. You're not going to get that true.
But it would be considered a home game for Pittsburgh because they're the team that hosts, right?
Right.
Maybe my wish there or my dream of a Bills Steelers game in Ireland won't come to fruition. But I think we're all in agreement that a holiday game and plenty of prime time, it's not going to be a surprise. And if you're a fan of the tradition of, the 1:00 game, be careful what you wish for. Your team is a 4-win team annually if that's what's going on. You want the primetime games. It's a byproduct of being good.
Can we start here, though? It was kind of fun. Like, all right, Arizona, they've got some players, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of Sunday, 1:00.
What you play,
opening week is
not who you play, but when you play them, right?
Yeah.
Arizona started to figure it out towards the end of the season. Kyler Murray got better as the season kind of went on. And if you're able to catch Cincinnati early in the season, I think that's something because they always seem to get off to slow starts.
Right. I would welcome that week 1. Like, people will be like, oh, no, it's going to be terrible for this secondary of Buffalo. Really? What did the Bengals do last year?
Early. They lost to New England week 1. You're not holding a grudge, though. That was your survivor pick.
I'm never picking Cincinnati ever again.
One of your
rules.
Make it one of your rules.
One of my rules. No Bengals.
Avoid the Bengals. They burn you too often.
We haven't even gotten to that part yet, Danger. Like who do we want week 1 there for Survivor? When the schedule comes out.
That's the first thing you're thinking of.
That's the first thing. I'm looking at the lines.
Yep.
I'm looking,
doing his prep for Survivor football a solid 4 months in advance.
Where did it get me last year?
Exit in week 1.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. We'll get to a round of shots next as Happy Hour continues here on The Fan.
Yeah, we've got a fun night tonight. We will set you up for that. The Yankees, some news today, both about their bullpen, and we'll tell you who they're dumping off the roster, a familiar name too. Some college football as well here on this Tuesday in May.
Don't forget about last call before we close up shop at 6. You can have the final word in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. We're waiting for you at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Sports Update.
We could know who the Emmerichs are playing coming up next week. That's if Laval wins tonight. It's Game 4, the best of 5 in suburban Montreal. Cleveland at Laval. The Rocket up 2-1. Bills rookie camp beginning this weekend. Right now, for the veterans, it's OTAs. Josh Palmer talking about what he's working on.
Just getting bigger, faster, stronger. The details, because it's a new playbook for me.
Right, yeah.
Just getting the details of learning the language. So it's just figuring out, okay, what do we call this play and what do we call this route and what's your alignment on this play. So I think those are the biggest things that I want to get out of this offseason program.
Palmer today talking on One Bills Live. Yankees hosting the Padres once again tonight. Carlos Carrasco, who hasn't been good for New York, designated for assignment today. The Rochester Red Wings begin a series out in Scranton. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
If you want pure, unfiltered, unadulterated sports, you've come to the right place. 95.7 FM, The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. It's time for a round of shots as happy hour continues.
For the first time since 2009, the New York Islanders winning the draft lottery and will be selecting first overall. New York with only a 3.5% chance, shooting up to number 1. And by doing so, that knocks the Sabres down. They'll be picking 9th overall.
9 times.
NHL draft taking place on June 27th and 28th at LA Live's Peacock Theater. Vegas was fun last year, the Sphere, so I don't know how they follow that up. Oh, by the way, the last time the Isles had the number 1 overall pick, I think we could debate. It didn't end well for the franchise.
Hey, John, you're a traitor, a liar, a snake, a fake. You should have told us. We would have got picks for you, you phony fake. You suck. You'll always suck, Tavares. You'll always be a loser. Always.
Never change. Never change, New York fan.
Islander fan. Letting John Tavares, who's sitting in the penalty box with Toronto, pretending
you
to
traitor, you snake, you phony, you fake. We could have got picks for you. You suck. You'll always suck.
Always be a loser.
Loser. It's a great rant.
2 series begin tonight in the NHL. Carolina, Washington, 7 o'clock on ESPN, followed by Edmonton, Vegas, McDavid, and Eichel on the top 2 picks. And, well, Buffalo ended up with none of them right now. If you missed it from last night, Toronto took Game 1 against Florida 5-4. RIT product Chris Tanev with a goal and an assist for the Leafs.
Tanev's playing great. Leafs look good. A little nervous about the injuries at goal, but and you know, Florida's not going to go quietly. They didn't go quietly in the third period. It's almost like they needed a couple periods to wake up. We'll see how that series goes. But I'm sticking with my guys. I'm saying this could be. Yeah, I know it's not pretty. I'm not proud. And even Mike Leone is like, oh, really? Toronto, huh? Oh, yeah, maybe I'm the sucker. And when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, then you can go ahead and call me a sucker for believing.
Monday was certainly a fun night in the NBA. The Knicks winning in overtime at Boston, down by 20 at one point. Denver winning at the buzzer against OKC. Both road teams taking Game 1. OKC and Boston not the only teams to lose on their home floor in Game 1 and Round 2. Tonight, Cleveland looking to rebound at home against the Pacers, down 1-0. 7 o'clock on TNT, followed by Game 1 of Golden State at Minnesota.
We're back. The NBA postseason is back, right? It feels like it just started with Round 2 because Round 1 was kind of a snooze fest. It was kind of one-sided. Teams are quitting. They're not going to Cancun. They're going to Galveston. So,
right.
But now with these 8 teams that remain and the stars that remain on these 8 teams, you've got a very entertaining product. I hope it continues here. But what we saw last night was fantastic.
Yeah, I hope it keeps it going like this. What do you do if you're Yankee manager Aaron Boone when it comes to their struggling reliever Devin Williams? So to review, Devin Williams with Milwaukee. He's one of the best closers in the game, Danger. And then, hey, we're ready to advance past the Mets. Here we are with 1 out in the 9th, and then bam, Alonso 3-run homer, Milwaukee loses. Milwaukee recognizing, all right, maybe we got to move this guy. They trade him. They trade him to the Yankees. Well, Williams hasn't been good. Last night, promptly loading the bases, ended up being charged with 3 runs in the 8th inning. He was removed as closer, last week. Yankees falling to the Padres 4-3. Williams now with an ERA over 10 in 14 games this season. Clark Schmidt takes the mound tonight for New York against San Diego's Michael King. By the way, King, born in Rochester.
We are provincial.
Super provincial.
Williams was broken by Pete Alonso. He may never be the same again. Alonso broke Devin Williams. I mean, what do you do? I don't know. You got damaged goods.
Well, gosh, it was 2 broken pitchers because the guy going back in the other direction, Nestor Cortes, who should not have been in the World Series, by the way.
Right.
Like, he hadn't pitched in weeks. And okay, we're going to put him up there against Freddie Freeman. Yeah, that
didn't work out either. Yeah.
Not advisable. That was a fun World Series.
It was fun.
Yeah, for being a short series. We did mention the update to Carlos Carrasco, who, look, there wasn't anything left there. I think Yankee fans know this. He was invited in on a minor league contract, made the big league squad, but that's because the Yankees have these other injuries in their staff, most notably the Garrett Cole designated for assignment today. So we'll see if Carrasco ends up in Scranton or if he goes elsewhere, or maybe that's it. Notre Dame football announcing a 12-year agreement with Clemson. That's going to be good for an annual matchup that's going to begin in 2027. All right, but comes at a price. 2026 will mark the last season of Notre Dame USC.
Oh.
Those 2 schools have played every year since World War II, with the only exception being 2020.
Yeah, I don't like that. Notre Dame USC was always a marquee matchup. That's a game you kind of look forward to. It's comfort food, right? Notre Dame Clemson is not going to feel the same as a replacement. I mean, it's going to be fun, but it's not the same.
Is USC football still relevant?
Lincoln Riley, yeah.
I don't know, but shouldn't they be better?
Well, they're playing in arguably the best division in the best conference in college football. So it's not going to be easy for them. Are your readers broken? Did I just notice that? Are these the broken readers from the Josh Allen draft?
Yeah, these are the broken readers from the Josh Allen draft.
Holy cow, you still have those?
Yeah.
If you're watching the stream, our stream is up on our channel on YouTube at The Fan Rochester. Those are historic, dude. Those belong back there with all the memorabilia.
So
that's a memorable piece of sports bar lore.
I'm having myself a day. Okay, let me review.
You doused yourself with gasoline.
Okay, let me back up. Did I sell anything today? No.
Oh.
No. So, that's part of sales, right?
You hear the word no a lot.
Yeah, hi, I'm from the sports bar, which... okay, I got to stop and get gas. Goes all over my hand, down my pant leg. I smell like if there was a match here, we'd be in trouble right now. All right? And then I can't find my glasses, so we have to bring out these ones, which I don't know if you could see.
They're cracked.
They're cracked.
They're missing part of the frame, and they're cracked. They're missing one of the arms of the frame.
On the night of the draft. And Brandon Bean, because I know you listen.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. I wanted Josh Rosen. And where we were doing the show then.
He was talking to you, and he was manifesting you when he was yelling at Jeremy White last week.
Yeah. I learned, and as did Masterstroke at the time. We were watching this together because everybody else is watching the draft in real time.
Yeah.
And
we just done a live show in Webster. We just got done with our live show in Webster.
And I'm looking at the phone like, oh my gosh, they drafted Josh Allen. And when I realized it, I slammed my glasses down. And there is video of this, and I have this look that I want to kill somebody. So honestly, if that video ever came out, is there video of any of the GR guys getting mad about the draft of Josh Allen? There really is video of me breaking my glasses.
Yeah, and you still have them. Your broken glasses. You still have them.
That's right.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm sorry. We completely got off track, but there is a sports angle to your broken readers that you're using today in the sports bar.
Let me make sure. The broken readers I'm pulling back up. Colorado fans suing the NFL for causing him emotional distress and trauma.
Oh, yeah. This is good. Timmy Parmesan sent me this earlier today. He wants to sue everybody.
Why? What did the NFL do to this fan? It's because Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round. He's seeking $100 million for the harm the
$100 million
caused to his well-being, plus an apology and a more fair draft process.
Wow.
I don't know if this person's doing this on his own, but that lawyer should just be disbarred instantly if they're actually.
Wow. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. I'm not even surprised. What's surprising is that he didn't ask for more, like $100 million.
$100 million, right.
I would like to sue the NFL for $1 trillion gazillion because of the emotional distress I had to suffer watching Shedeur Sanders, my favorite college player, slide to the 5th round. I'm suing for $1 trillion billion gazillion, sir.
I'm suing Roger Goodell. I'm suing Brandon Beane.
I'm suing every GM in the NFL. It doesn't sound the same. It doesn't work the same. But I'm trying, Gene. I'm really trying to be a better human. I'm trying to grow up. I'm trying to be more mature.
When the Browns passed on him in the 2nd round, I fell down the stairs and my shoes came off.
You can't say anything because you actually did break your glasses.
I did break my glasses.
You broke your glasses.
I broke my glasses.
And your shoes fell off. And you landed on your ass pipe. And you're distraught and you're seeking punitive damages. You want what's yours, what's coming to you, what's deserved. So I'm suing everybody. Sue everybody for the punitive damages. Every GM, Doug Whaley. I'm suing Doug Whaley.
Why are you suing Doug Whaley?
Punitive damages for $100 billion, trillion, gazillion dollars. Take that, NFL. Take that lawsuit. I want what's right. I want what's fair. I'm suing everybody. I'm trying. It's not the same.
It does not work.
It doesn't hook the same way. It's not the same. I mean, we're just children here. And I apologize. We the last thing we would want to do is offend anybody.
We offended people. We don't want to do that anymore.
We're not in the business of offending people, of course. That's ridiculous, by the way. Just ridiculous. $100 million for emotional distress. I mean, keep tabs on that because I would like to someday sue my wife for $100 million for the emotional distress I feel when she asks me to do things around the house.
Oh, I was going to say the emotional distress when she gets the credit card bill from her little weekend in New York.
Yeah, oh boy, Gino.
Yes, the tickets, but I've been asked this, okay? Wow, that must be great to work for a company. No, our company does a lot of stuff, but you got to understand, the Mets tickets it's Odyssey Mets Radio. Yes, Danger.
I took advantage of that.
Yeah, and the flights, the transportation in, the hotel, the food, and every little thing of alcohol you put in your system is not on the company.
That's right. We were buying rounds. We were alternating rounds, and rounds were not cheap. As you know, concession prices are through the roof.
In New York City, yeah.
Everything in New York City is more expensive. I did go cheaper on the ground transit. I only Ubered once. Everything else was train. And that right there maybe grants me a little bit of grace.
Nope.
I mean my hotel my hotel was really small room, really small and cheap. Does that give me a little bit of grace?
No.
Wow, damn it.
I want to see your bill only from this. When you're buying the round, is it going to come up when you're buying the round at the stadium? The concession vendor, or is it going to come up New York Mets?
Okay. Full disclosure, I didn't buy a round at the stadium, but I did buy the first round of cocktails atop the rooftop bar that we went to. And it might have been a little bit more pricey buying the cocktails at the rooftop bar than it would have been buying a round of beers at Citi Field. The dinner was the one. Dinner was the thing where it's like, hey, look, we're all adults. We all have a good living, and we're all able to afford being able to do this. But still, I'm like, this is not something I normally would do. Between the four of us, we split it 4 ways, over $2
Oh.
Which
that's actually not bad.
In retrospect, I'm like, yeah, not bad. But like when I'm looking at the price of the ribeye and the price of a bottle of wine, and like I actually said to her, I'm like, hey, guys, if we want a bottle of wine, that's fine, but let's not go crazy here because these bottles of wine are ridiculous. Like, we don't have to get the $300 bottle of wine to enjoy the night.
I will only do that if I win a fantasy championship, meaning it's found money.
Sure.
So,
Right.
did you win a fantasy championship?
No. In fact, I don't even know that I made the postseason in any of my leagues this year. It was a rough year for the kid.
So that's where the slush fund money, where like you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Here's what I could say. I could say, yeah, you know what? A good season sports gambling. You know, cashed out the bankroll, a couple of books, and everything works out. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I might need that lawyer's number. If emotional distress was caused by Shedeur Sanders sliding, let's talk about the emotional distress when the credit card bill comes in and my wife sees it.
I could get either Dennis, Andy, or Worm on the case.
Worm for the win.
Yeah.
I want Worm. Only the best.
All my friends from college are attorneys, high-level people, and I'm
doing
here,
a show with me
here.
Smelling like gasoline, trying to avoid open flames.
Like, we're going to go home and say, what were you doing?
Well, what you said earlier was fantastic about the life hack.
Oh, this is from the whatever HBO documentary on Enron. And I feel like I have to do a Cliff Note thing. What was Enron? Enron was legitimately this company. They were a bunch of thieves, right? I think we can kind of deduce they're out of business now. But if you have a shady company, you had shady executives. And one of these shady executives told his team, hey, do what I do. Because I go out and I'm doing some things and I'm being with some women I don't want to be. When I go home to my wife after, I cover my tracks by going to the fill up and I just spill a little gas in my hand. That covers up all the scent.
Oh, my God. And he called it like, hey, a life hack. Yeah, it's a life hack. Cheat on your wife. Go to the strip club. Avoid the smell.
See, the problem is people half listen. And then somebody's be like, yeah, Danger and Battaglia were talking about this life hack. No,
we weren't.
No, we
weren't. We're reporting what was in the documentary. Although I kind of get what he's saying. Like, yeah, I suppose that would work if you were a deviant. Yeah, that would work.
Now, I don't know what you do about the glitter and everything else, but that's not my problem.
No, first you go through the car wash with the windows rolled down, and you make sure that you get nice and soapy and frothy. Then you douse yourself in gasoline, and she'll have no idea. It's a perfect life hack. All the glitter's gone. The scent is gone. All she smells is gasoline and suds from the car wash. What's the big deal?
And with that music, that brings us to another conclusion of a fine show here today.
I'm not mad at it.
No, I'm gotta laugh sometimes.
What's the world look like 24 hours from now? Well, we'll be here at 3 o'clock, at least 21 hours from now.
Well, and if you want to know who's on the show tomorrow,
we'll figure it out.
Tune in tomorrow. So
we'll figure it out. Gene will get the scent of gasoline off his hands, and I'll survive another night with the credit card bill still en route. But we will have a show again tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, and we'll look forward to talking to you then at 866-4FAN. We appreciate Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, and Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard for stopping by the sports bar this afternoon. If you missed either of those conversations, find us wherever you get your podcasts. Search out the sports bar. All of our guest appearances are there. JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester. Have a great night.
You're listening to the